Breaking this morning, the Gwinnett County Police Department is investigating a deadly shooting. It happened around 7 p.m. last night on Lee Road near Snellville. Police say they received a call about a domestic dispute in the area and a person shot. When they arrived, they found a man shot and took him to the hospital where he died. The motive of the shooting is being investigated, but police say there is no threat to the public.
The internet has been buzzing for days, and this time the whispers are not about old reality TV scandals, scripted love triangles, or the usual reunion drama. Instead, the name Love and Hip Hop, Atlanta, is trending for a much darker reason. Reports are flooding in about a tragic incident out of Gwinnett County, Georgia, one that has pulled Rasheeda, her husband Kirk Frost, and their children straight into the center of a storm no publicist could spin away.
Shot and killed in Gwinnett County has been identified as an Atlanta rapper. Investigators say the victim was 33-year-old Tevin Hood, also known as T Hood. He was best known for his songs Ready to Go and Percolator. Now, he posted on social media just weeks ago promoting a concert in Atlanta. Investigators say the shooting stemmed from an argument at a house in unincorporated Snellville on Friday night. And officers say they detained a person at that home, but have not yet announced any.
The focus is now on their kids, Kai and Kelsie, and a deadly altercation involving T Hood, a rising Atlanta rapper whose career was just starting to catch fire. Even more shocking, sources claim T Hood was not only dating Kelsie, but living under the same roof with her and her brother Kai when his life was violently cut short. It's a case now being treated as a homicide by the Gwinnett County Police Department, and the details coming out are as messy as they are heartbreaking. On August 8, 2025, at approximately 7 p.m., officers from the South Precinct were dispatched to a residence in the 3900 block of Lee Road in unincorporated Snellville after a frantic call came in reporting a heated dispute that had escalated into gunfire. When authorities arrived, they found a man suffering from multiple gunshot wounds. Emergency responders rushed him to a nearby hospital, but his injuries were too severe. T Hood was pronounced dead shortly after arrival. Police confirmed that one individual had been detained at the scene for questioning. But as of now, no official arrests have been made, and the investigation remains active. Officers stated there is no ongoing threat to the public. Yet within the local community and online, fear, grief, and anger are running high. What's making this even more explosive is the swirl of accusations, not from tabloids or anonymous blogs, but from T Hood's own family, who are directly naming Kelsie and her brothers in their public statements. One of T Hood's sisters took to social media almost immediately after the incident, unleashing a series of posts that have been shared, screenshotted, and dissected thousands of times. In her words, this was no tragic misunderstanding. It was a setup. She claims that Kelsie, knowing there was tension in her relationship with T Hood, contacted her brothers when an argument broke out that afternoon. According to the sister, instead of calling 911 to defuse the situation or remove T Hood from the home, the family allegedly chose a far more violent route. She says Kai, the son of Rasheeda and Kirk Frost, was already living at the residence with Kelsie and T Hood. Another brother, described as the Big Brother, was allegedly summoned to the property. The sister's account paints a grim timeline. Hours passed between the start of the domestic dispute and the call to emergency services. She questions why the police weren't contacted at 3 p.m., when the fight allegedly began, and instead believes the delay was deliberate. In her telling, T Hood was shot multiple times in the back, chest, and stomach, and the scene was cleaned before authorities were alerted. Even more damning, she claims the 911 call that did go through wasn't even made from the property, but from a separate location in Lithonia, raising serious questions about what happened in those missing hours. Her accusations go further. She alleges that one of the brothers, reportedly Kai, carried out the shooting, while the other brother was injured in the crossfire, sustaining a gunshot wound to his ankle. The sister insists that Kelsie not only failed to prevent the violence but actively lured her brothers into the situation, leading to T Hood's death. She describes how one brother fled the scene with the firearm before police arrived, leaving no weapon behind for investigators to recover. Self-defense? She scoffed in one post. Self-defense doesn't mean running, hiding, and cleaning up before the cops get there. In another, she directly accuses Kelsie of knowing her brother was going to shoot T Hood and trying to protect him afterward. For the victim's family, this isn't a complicated legal matter. It's clear-cut murder, and they are rallying under the hashtags find Kelsie Frost, and High Justice Fort Hood, vowing to keep the case in the public eye until charges are filed. Meanwhile, Kelsie has broken her silence, issuing a long, emotional statement online that walks a tightrope between grief and defense. She says she's been advised by plenty of parties to remain quiet, but couldn't allow what she calls a false narrative to spread unchecked. In her post, she mourns T. Hood as the love of her life, describing him as the man she cuddled with every night. She insists she never wanted harm to come to him, never called her brothers for help that night, and did not orchestrate or condone the shooting. "My baby was still healing from being shot 3 times before," she wrote, referencing an earlier incident in T. Hood's life. "We handled our business in private. I didn't involve my folks in our relationship. I only called his mother, not my brothers, not anyone else." She says that while she understands people want answers, they should stop listening to people who weren't there and spreading conspiracy theories. For Kelsie, this tragedy is not just a headline. It's a nightmare she's still trying to process while under attack from strangers online. The public, however, remains divided. On one side are those who sympathize with Kelsie's grief and believe she's being unfairly targeted in a time of loss. On the other are T. Hood's family, members and their supporters, who see her as protecting her brothers at the expense of justice. The lack of immediate arrests has only fueled the fire, with critics accusing law enforcement of dragging their feet because of the Frost family's local influence. Jada, another of T. Hood's sisters, has made it clear they won't let the case fade from memory. "If I have to stay up 40 days and 40 nights, I will," she vowed in a post. "The killer is still out there, and we will get justice for my brother no matter what it takes." As these conflicting accounts circulate, the truth becomes harder to pin down, and the emotional stakes continue to rise. The story has transformed from a tragic shooting into a high-profile, emotionally charged battle between 2 families, each convinced they know exactly what happened, and each determined to have the final word. In the days that followed the shooting, the atmosphere around Gwinnett County changed. What had started as a local police investigation quickly turned into a viral conversation that spilled across Instagram stories, Facebook Lives, TikTok videos, and gossip blogs. Every hour seemed to bring a new angle, a fresh rumor, or a leaked screenshot from someone claiming to know the real story. The Frost family name, once tied mostly to love and hip-hop, Atlanta drama, boutique openings, and music industry ventures, was now trending alongside hashtags like Justice Fort Hood and How to Find Kelsie Frost. For Rasheeda and Kirk, this was unfamiliar territory. They'd faced public judgment before, cheating rumors, business feuds, cast confrontations, but those were entertainment. This was a homicide investigation with their children's names directly attached. Every camera that once chased them for sound bites about reality TV was now waiting for a statement about murder. And every silence from the family was being read as a sign of guilt, fear, or both. Police reports confirmed the basics. The shooting took place on the evening of August 8th. T. Hood was transported to a hospital, and he died from his injuries. But beyond that, authorities have released very little. That information vacuum gave space for T. Hood's family to dominate the public conversation. In emotional live streams, they laid out their version of events in detail. They said Kelsie and T. Hood had been arguing for hours inside the house. They claimed Kai was already in the home, but did not de-escalate the fight or call for help. Instead, they allege another brother, the so-called big brother, was contacted and came to the property. According to the family's account, it was after his arrival that T. Hood decided to leave, possibly to cool off or avoid further conflict. But before he could make it to the door, one of the brothers allegedly pulled out a gun and fired multiple times, hitting him in the back, chest, and stomach. To them, this was not self-defense. He was walking away, Jada, T. Hood's sister, repeated in multiple posts. That's not self-defense, that's execution. This version of the story has been repeated so many times online that it has taken on a life of its own. People who never knew T. Hood are reposting photos of him, with captions about betrayal and street justice. Others are digging into Kelsie's old posts, trying to find signs of trouble in their relationship. Some fans of Love and Hip Hop, Atlanta have even been rewatching old episodes featuring Rasheeda and Kirk, looking for moments where they mentioned their kids, as if reality TV could somehow foreshadow a real-life tragedy. It's created a strange overlap between entertainment gossip and a real criminal case, with people treating police updates like they're plot twists in a show. Amid this public storm, Kelsie has maintained her position. She didn't make the call that brought her brothers to the scene. She didn't want this, and she is grieving. Her statement, though emotional, has done little to quiet her critics. Many point out that she isn't directly denying that her brothers were involved, only that she didn't ask for what happened. In the court of public opinion, that's a dangerous gray area. And then there's Kai, the brother at the center of the allegations, who has not spoken publicly at all. His silence has fueled speculation, with some believing he's in hiding, others claiming he's cooperating with police, and a few suggesting he's being shielded by the Frost family's connections. For Rasheeda and Kirk, every move now is under a microscope. If they post on social media, people flood the comments with demands for updates on the case. If they remain silent, headlines accuse them of dodging the issue. Sources close to the family say they've hired legal counsel for both Kai and Kelsie, and that they've been told to keep all public statements minimal. Still, the damage is done. The Frost brand, built over years of business deals, TV appearances, and carefully curated image management, is now tied to one of the most talked about tragedies in Atlanta's music scene this year. Meanwhile, T. Hood's family is not letting up. They've organized community vigils in his honor, with friends, fans, and fellow artists gathering to share memories and demand justice. Candlelight ceremonies have been live-streamed to thousands of viewers, each one amplifying the family's demand for arrests. At one vigil, Jada spoke through tears, saying, "My brother was not perfect, but he didn't deserve to die like this. And he sure didn't deserve to die in a house with people he trusted." Those words have become a rallying cry, spreading online as a quote over pictures of T. Hood, turning his story into both a warning and a cause. The tension has even spilled offline. Several people close to the Frost family have reported being confronted in public by strangers demanding answers. Local businesses connected to the family have seen a surge in negative reviews online, many of them unrelated to actual experiences and clearly written as protest against the situation. On the flip side, some Frost family supporters have pushed back, accusing T. Hood's relatives of trying to ruin the family's reputation before the facts are proven in court. That's the divide, two camps, each fully convinced they know the truth, each unwilling to give an inch, and hovering over all of this is the investigation itself. Detectives are reportedly reviewing surveillance footage from nearby homes, checking phone records, and trying to piece together a minute-by-minute timeline of that day. There are whispers, unconfirmed but persistent, that certain people have already given conflicting statements in their interviews with police. Whether that's true or just another internet rumor is hard to say. But in a case this public, even unverified details can go viral in hours. Every time a new claim surfaces, it gets added to the pile, making it harder to separate fact from speculation. The only certainty is that a young man's life was cut short, and the people who loved him are determined to make sure the story doesn't fade away. By the third week after the shooting, the case had moved beyond just being a family tragedy or a neighborhood headline. It had become a fixture in Atlanta's daily conversation. Whether in barbershops, on radio talk shows, or in the comment sections of hip-hop blogs, everyone seemed to have an opinion about what really happened inside that house on Lee Road. Rumors that had started as whispers were now being spoken, as fact by people who weren't even there. Every minor leak, a snippet from a police report, an unverified text screenshot, or a half-heard detail from someone close to the situation became front-page news in the local gossip cycle. Even those with no personal connection to T. Hood or the Frost family began to feel like they were part of a public investigation, piecing together timelines and theories the way viewers follow a true crime documentary. The most explosive claims came from inside T. Hood's own circle. Friends and relatives began releasing what they described as receipts, old messages, voice notes, and even photographs that they believed proved Kelsie had been involved in some way before the shooting. One particularly controversial post claimed to show a private message exchange between Kelsie and a family member where she allegedly mentioned being done with T. Hood earlier that day. While the authenticity of these posts has not been verified by police, their appearance online fed the growing belief among T. Hood's supporters that the shooting was not a sudden act of violence, but the outcome of a plan set in motion hours before. She set him up. one of his close friends said in a live stream that drew over 20,000 viewers. And she can write all the pretty words she wants on Instagram, but the streets remember what was said before it went down. At the same time, those defending Kelsie argued that grief and confusion had created a dangerous game of telephone, with every retelling adding a darker twist. They pointed to her own lengthy statement, in which she described being blindsided by the violence and losing the man she loved. Supporters reminded the public that no charges had been filed, and until the police completed their investigation, nobody could know the whole truth. They also questioned why, if the Frost family truly had the kind of influence their critics claimed, the story was still dominating headlines rather than being quietly buried. If they were really protecting someone, one supporter posted, we wouldn't even be talking about this anymore. Meanwhile, the investigation itself remained tight-lipped but active. Detectives were said to be re-interviewing witnesses, analyzing cell tower data to track who was at the scene and when, and reviewing statements for inconsistencies. One source familiar with the process hinted that multiple people's stories don't match up, particularly about the exact moment the gun was fired and who was holding it. There were also conflicting accounts about the cleanup that allegedly happened after T. Hood was shot. According to Jada, the family of the victim believes blood was wiped away, items were moved, and evidence was hidden before the police arrived. You don't do all that if it's self-defense, she said firmly in one interview. You stay there, you wait for the cops, you tell the truth. As tensions escalated, the online battle between the two sides grew more personal and vicious. T. Hood's family doubled down on their campaign, posting daily under the hashtags lhhatl Find Kelsie Frost and Justice Fort Hood, often tagging local news outlets and public figures to keep the pressure on. They began organizing marches in downtown Atlanta, holding up posters with Kai's face and demanding that the district attorney take action. At one rally, a speaker shouted into a megaphone, if it were anyone else's son, they'd already be in handcuffs. The crowd roared in agreement, their chants echoing off the buildings. These public demonstrations were covered by multiple media outlets, ensuring that the case remained impossible to ignore. For the Frost family, every day was now a balancing act between public image and private crisis. Rasheeda, usually quick to engage with her followers online, drastically reduced her posts, limiting them to neutral business promotions or family throwbacks unrelated to the case. Kirk was even more reserved, avoiding all direct comment. Their silence only made the public more curious, with bloggers speculating about closed-door family meetings, private investigators, and potential plea deals. Some entertainment news hosts went so far as to suggest that VH1 could exploit the situation for a future special, though insiders close to the network have dismissed the idea as too sensitive and risky. The emotional toll on both families was undeniable. In quieter moments away from the shouting and the hashtags, the reality remained. A young man's life had ended violently. A woman was being torn apart between defending herself and grieving him. And two families were now bound together by an event neither could undo. Kelsie wrote in another late-night post, I can't sleep, I can't eat. I keep replaying everything in my head, wondering what I could have done differently. I didn't want this, I didn't ask for this. And now all I can do is speak for him in the way I know how, with my truth. The next morning, Jada responded in her own story. If you really loved him, tell the police the truth. That's the only way justice will happen. Otherwise, you're protecting the wrong people. As of now, the case remains officially open, with police urging anyone with first-hand information to come forward. But in the court of public opinion, verdicts have already been passed. Some condemning Kelsie and her brothers, others insisting she's the victim of a smear campaign in her worst moment of loss. The deeper the divide grows, the harder it will be for any official conclusion to satisfy both sides. And until the day an arrest is made or charges are filed, the hashtags, the rallies, the live streams, and the late-night posts will continue to shape the narrative. What began as a tragic evening in Snellville has become a high-profile saga about loyalty, truth, and the dangerous power of a story once it escapes into the wilds of the internet.